Good evening. My name is Bob Stone, the chair of the Underhill Selectboard. Today's date is the 23rd of January. It is Thursday. It is 6 o'clock. This meeting is not reimagined. It is the real thing. In the tradition of the town of Underhill, we have our bi-monthly select board meeting. We have a approved or a submitted agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Only change I have is I've adjusted the warning a little bit, but substantively it's exactly the same. But I've made copies too. I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention that it will not be the same document that's in the packet.
Okay.
But substantively all the same.
Thank you, Brad. Anybody else have any changes or omissions or anything like that to the agenda before we get going?
Nope.
Seeing, hearing none, here we go. First item on the agenda is, we've already called it to order, opening public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to make a public comment? All set? Anyone on the World Wide Web? Looks like no. All right. I want to apologize a little bit. I am in uniform. I'm not representing the Vermont Department of Public Safety nor the Division of Fire Safety, but I am in my work attire. So I just want to make that clarification that I'm wearing the hat of Bob Stone, the chair of the Underhill Select Board. I'm not representing the state of Vermont in any way, shape, or form. Next item.
What's a B
I
stand?
thought the B was for Bruins.
No, this that'll just prevent me from having to put a piece of duct tape over my patch here. Next item is to review and consider the 2025 landfill monitoring estimate that was in the packet.
Yeah, so I asked for this quite a while ago, but might have just slipped his mind. But anyway, I've gotten the new estimate for the monitoring of the groundwater at the old landfill, and the increase is $185 from last year. I just have to step away for a minute. I apologize, but it's an important call.
Yep.
Pertaining to.
I'll cover for you.
So the estimate was in the packet. Does anyone have any questions? A motion to approve having Ross Engineering continue with their work at the monitoring of the landfill, I think would be in order.
I'll make the motion that we approve the quote in our packet for Ross Environmental Associates to provide water quality monitoring for 2025 in the amount of $9,915 per year.
It has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
And Kelsey seconds. Any further discussion?
Yeah, this is a no-brainer. Bob Ross is always, very on top of it. And I've had conversations with him over the years. He's always willing to talk about stuff, very knowledgeable, and we're getting good support.
Thank you, Dan. Any other discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of approving the landfill monitoring estimate that was provided in the packet, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda is to discuss the 2018 dump truck box issue. But before we get to Russ, I just want to say that a couple days ago, 3 days ago, I had received a call from Russ explaining that, and I think I texted everyone that we had trucks down and everything like that. And I had received another subsequent phone call from Russ saying that, we had a problem with our dump. And I went to the garage. I don't know if anyone else from the board went to the garage and spent a lot of time talking with, I don't want to say a lot, but I did take some time to talk with Russ and the guys. And I'm glad that you're here tonight to kind of give us an overview. I don't know if we're going to need to have a special meeting because there's a lot of detail. But we're going to turn it over to Russ and let him go with this. But if there is a lot of discussion or need for more clarity, I'm happy to entertain the idea of having a special meeting or have that be a longer item in a future agenda. So Russ, thank you for coming tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bob. And thanks for coming up to review our current issue. I'll try to make this as painless as I can. And Maureen, if I don't look at you, I know you're there to my right. Um,
Don't worry
So,
about it. Thank you.
all right. So our 2018 plow truck, our oldest plow truck, I think I mentioned the last meeting having some issues. We had a couple bodies with some issues. Just be prepared. Sunday, we were plowing and the truck stopped sanding. So that's something broke. We got the truck back to the garage, continued that route with the other trucks to get the route done in best timely manner we could. And we did that. Got to looking at the truck and found, and I printed off these papers for you to try to explain this the best I can. So our bodies are what they call a side dump body, and they stand in front of the wheels. If you look at the cover, it's gonna be hard for you, Maureen. I'm sorry, I didn't get these.
I can show her from here. I got it.
The front,
That's good.
if you look at the picture on the front, you will see inside the body, there's some square rectangles down the left-hand side. Those are covers over what is called a bed chain that carries the sand to the front corner of the body, dumps out onto a spinner, and spreads the sand onto the road. In front of that, there's a gearbox with a shaft that drives that chain. The main shaft of that broke, which means that the chain wasn't moving. We simply started looking at things further and found that the rails that the track goes on had a lot of bent and twisted metal. We've never seen anything like that before. Talked to Viking, the body manufacturer, about it. They have really never seen anything like that either. Next step, I had Joe Becker, who lives up in the valley, who works for Viking, does installs and works on these trucks in Williston. He came down and looked at the truck with us, and he says, something's broke, something's not right here, obviously. Got to really looking at it, and if you look at the picture, now that's opposed here, this upper part is what they call the side dome. And that's an inner tipper body that is hinged along the side of that bed chain, that when the sand has gone out of over the bed chain, we lift this side up and it pushes the sand down from the other side of the body over the bed chain to get the rest of the sand out. That's how we get the sand over. So the hinge assembly that goes from front to back is broke all the way up through. And even on, if you look at this back, this paper, I drew, there's a line right here that main support across the back was cracked and the left-hand corner of that body dropped. So there was a lot of broken pieces that just made a huge mess of that whole body.
Is it a defect of the equipment, or was there something that happened, an event, possibly?
With all the conversations with Viking and Joe and ourselves, we feel that over the lifespan of this truck, it's in its 8th winter, it's fatigue. Again, these trucks are heavy. They're loaded heavy. That we thought about too last year. Our roads were so rough from the mud freeze that it was constant bang, 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 trying to plow these roads. So they get a lot of mess, a lot of wear and tear, so to speak. Another thing we've had not going for us is we've had a lot of extreme cold weather, which sand freezes. So if you think about a load of sand and the top part of it freezing, the sand comes out over the top of the chain and the rest of it doesn't fall because it's froze. So somehow you got to try to get that sand broken to come down. So you try to lift your side dump, which is not made to lift that kind of weight, just to try to break that shell, so to speak, to get more sand down. That's a lot of stress and things where it's not made to really lift that, but you really have no other choice to try to break that up. So that's probably part of it as well. So from there, I've just started like, what are we gonna do? Because Viking could not get it in. They had just so backed up with repairs. We just finally said, let's bite the bullet and see if we can get it patched up. So for the last 3 days, the four of us have been on that truck, welding, bending, trying to get things back into shape, new bed chain. We had to get a new gearbox, shaft, got all that back together. At the end of the day today, we feel that it's operationable. We have not loaded it and tried it. We have just done it. Everything's moving, dry, no weight in it. My gut tells me that we've got it good to get it through the winter. That's what my gut tells me. I'm a little concerned of trying to put it through 2 more winters after this. I just don't, there's just so much that is compromised in this whole event that I don't think it's good.
So do we have we ordered anything from Viking, or did we abandon when they couldn't come through and did the patch? Or do they have a more permanent fix?
Oh, no, I think we did what they would have done
Oh,
with the guidance of them and Joe Becker, who was top notch in this stuff. He guided us a little bit as well, even came back on his way home the next day just to check on us and look at
That's
things
cool.
again.
That's really nice.
Still, when you try to pick it up the way it is, things just start doing weird things when you start picking it up. So I'm hoping we can get it through the winter to provide the service of the town that we need to provide. So that's where we're at with that. But I do believe it's a temporary fix. It's
when's that truck due for replacement?
2027.
So it's
So the new truck coming this year is
It's not for this,
not
this truck.
Is this unusual? I mean,
Well-
are the other trucks okay?
The other trucks are currently okay. Our single axle, which was the other truck that we've noticed some bending of the chain and needing to get a new chain for, it's got some similar things. We've looked at it briefly. We have found some cracking in areas. But once we get this truck fixed, we're gonna go to that one and try to save any further damage to that. Luckily, the weather has been good to allow us to do this. We don't think it's anywhere near this one, but we're gonna try to attack it prior to anything worse happening. We were able to get the bed chains that they did finally come in, so we were able to get them. We have them. One went into this truck and one will be going into the 21. I did get some information from Viking on a new body, which is also a quote in your packet there of $52,500, which is about a minimum of 6 months, maybe 9 months to get a new body.
That's from the time that we order it
That's from the time we order.
until we would actually get here, and then that's not being installed, that's just getting here, and then you have, how much time do you think
I think
on average it takes, a couple weeks or whatever?
It
Or?
would probably take them a couple weeks. Also, that doesn't include if it does need a new lift cylinder, which we talked about briefly at the last meeting, which is leaking. It's working, but so that's not included in it. And if they come up with any other hoses or hydraulic hoses or anything while they're in the midst of changing, the hinge assembly, so it could go up from there. It's been history in Underhill of having to replace bodies, which is not a good practice. We've talked a little bit about, is it because we don't wash them? Is it because of what's causing this? Do we wash them as much as we want to? No, because we don't have the facility we have the ability to wash them, but you can't wash them when it's 10 degrees out and everything just starts freezing. So I think it's a combination of the length of keeping these trucks, the wear and tear. I mean, there are a lot of moving parts on these bodies. There's a lot to it.
typically like side dumps aren't meant to be used like a regular dump truck, right?
No, these are.
These are.
These are, Brad, they call them an all-season body as well, so they're made for all seasons. That's why if you look at the cover sheet, you'll see those doors. These doors actually hinge up. So in the summertime, that's dropped back down, so
I see.
we can use it for normal operations. But obviously the main reason for a body like this is to sand the roads, sand and salt the roads. But they are considered an all-season body. The newer bodies are heavier duty than this body. They're made out of AR 450 steel. If that means anything to anybody, but it's a hard ox steel, which this body, I don't know if it was an option at the time when the town bought that. I don't think it was. But the only thing in this body that's AR 450 is the floor. So moving forward, the newer bodies are all heavier, a little heavier duty. Can it still happen? Probably. But some of the damage that was done to this, Viking has never seen, at least down in Williston. The other thing we did is we plated this, we brought that back corner up the best we could and plated a piece of steel along the bottom of the tailgate, a 1/2-inch piece of steel all the way across to support that back. So I do believe we'll be able to get through with it, but I'm very hesitant on moving forward through the next 2 years with that body. Maybe it'll hold up, but I don't know, because we still have to use that truck this summer as well, hauling sand, hauling stone, hauling gravel.
Can we, if we are in the midst of purchasing the next new truck in the next couple of years, so we're gonna have to order the next dump truck very soon, could we take this new body, dump body that we have and have it removed and put onto the new truck? And when we get rid of this truck, sell it just as the cabin chassis?
You could, but that will lower the value of that current truck without a body by a lot.
We
Because,
only get 20.
Yeah, we don't get much for them anyway.
well, right now, I had Dan St. Cyr from Allegiance come up and meet with us on some options that he might be able to do for us. Right now, that truck would probably be in the vicinity of 35,000, the way it sits, with the body fixed. Because I was very upfront with him on what was wrong with the body, so he could look at it and what we were doing with it. The current truck has 130,000 miles on it, which has also got over 6,000 hours, almost 6,300 hours on it, which is a lot. If you actually equivalent that hours into mileage of a normal over-the-road dump truck, you take the hours and multiply it by 33.3 is an equation that they use to actually get a kind of an actual mileage of a plow truck. And that would bring it up to over 200,000 miles of a normal over-the-road dump truck. But again, these trucks go through the worst conditions of any truck that's on the road. They're heavy. They're even hauling sand. They're probably close to 10,000 pounds more than a normal dump truck that's hauling material before you put any material in it. So going down the road, they're taking a hit all the way around. So the dump body is one option. The other options are we can order a truck. If we were to order a truck today, it would schedule at this time to build in September timeframe of this year. The body and equipment from when the truck lands in Vermont is another 6 to 9 months after that. So it's about 18-month process to get a new truck if we were to order one now. On the other aspect is Allegiance has 3 trucks, that are stock trucks that they have on order, that they have one building, I think one in May, one in June, and one in July. And then equipment is going on right after that they work together with Viking to build these stock trucks, similar to what I used to do back in the day. So they have 3 trucks currently available that will probably be here before next winter and ready to go. But again, that takes us out of our plans, our current plans. Again, so you're talking a $300,000 purchase at that point. if you think of the whole big picture, this is a emergency vehicle that we provide service to the town of Underhill taxpayers to keep their roads safe and ready to go at a moment's notice.
Russ, if that truck is not operational, what happens? Like, what's the,
If it's not operational, once we get it,
let's just say,
like say tomorrow,
if tomorrow it's not working, what do you guys do relative to sanding and?
so we have our spare truck, which is our old school truck, which is a single axle with a tailgate sander. We did use that Monday morning to it plowed fine, but it was so cold that small load of sand froze, and all he was able to get out of it was what was right at the end of the tailgate, because he couldn't get any more out of it. And that has no way of,
You can plow with it, but you can't sand.
it depends, if the temperature is warm, then warmer, I'd say like high teens, it would probably work okay. But it would take him, I'll say twice as long, because he doesn't have the material, or if he can plow, then we can double up afterwards and do some sanding for him on his roof.
So you're still mixing that sand with salt?
We do not mix salt in our sand.
No, you do not. No wonder.
No, we do not.
Never have.
Never have. I thought you did.
I think years ago they did, from what I hear, but
Long time ago.
because the reason we don't do that, Dan, is because salt on dirt roads don't mix. That helps with mud.
Oh, yes.
That makes mud. So we do not do that. We did a few years ago. They moved the sand pile from one area of the garage to another to get the sun, so chunks and that stuff can thaw out, and we don't have wasteful sand. So that has worked well the last 4 or 5 years. I think they did.
In an emergency situation, a typical route takes
4 hours.
4 hours. So you've got 24 hours in a day. If it's a snowy day, you go out 2 or 3 times. You could limp along. I'm just saying, it's not like the way he manages the team. I'm sure that it's not like roads would go unplowed. You just have to, Dwayne would have to wait till the truck was available to do his route. They'd have.
There'd be a lag between.
Definitely be a lag.
Sand going on that road.
And there's also areas that you need sand as you plow. So some roads you need sand to get up them.
Mm-hmm.
Some roads you need sand to get down them because they're so steep.
So, it is 6:23. This was meant, I believe, more as an awareness of the board. I think there's some decisions that need to be made. I am going to be calling for a special meeting to discuss the next steps at what we are going to propose to do with this truck. Towards the end of this meeting, we'll see what people's availability is, and then we can have a special meeting to discuss just this truck. But in order to keep on schedule with the rest of the agenda, if there's any final questions, feel free to ask them now, but I am going to be calling a special meeting to discuss just this item, and if anything else comes up tonight, but just to let the board know that this was meant, in my mind, this was meant as an awareness to make you aware that, we have an issue before us and we're going to have to put our heads together and figure out what the best plan of action should be.
I just have a quick question, I guess. Is there any opportunities to buy like a used body that would be in good shape? I agree with Bob. It's like, yeah, if you're gonna put a new body on this thing, you want to take it with us.
I think we're gonna have an opportunity at this special meeting to ask a lot of more questions. And this will give Russ an opportunity to check in to see what it is, but I don't mean to cut you off, but I am cutting you off.
Okay. I just wonder if there's an option for use.
We can certainly look into available options and see, what they are, but I do think that it warrants having a special meeting for the board.
Sounds good. We're right on the schedule.
Okay,
Thank you all for listening.
thank you, Russ. Thanks for getting all this together for us. It's very helpful.
And for fixing it so it's usable.
Yeah, we're thankful that we have a crew that is
Yeah, capable,
capable.
really capable.
And thank you to the crew for all working together to do that.
Definitely.
And thank you, Jennifer, for holding up the diagrams. It was very helpful to see that. So
You're
thanks.
welcome.
I would have brought one up to you if I'd known you weren't gonna be here.
No worries. I didn't know the babysitter wasn't going to show up. So what are we going to do?
That happens sometimes.
Hi, Maud.
The next item on the agenda is our final item. It is to discuss the fiscal year 26 final budget to be considered by the voters on March 4th. Version number 7. Our friend Jennifer's here.
Oh, yes. Thank you for having me this evening for what promises to be our final, hopefully, version of the budget. So everything that was taken into consideration, everything that came out of executive session has been added to this proposed final budget. And I have outlined it in what I sent you.
Let's make sure I'm looking at yeah, sorry.
Mine's not the colored version. So with it, all of the changes and additions, this proposed budget will be a 4.27% increase to the tax rate for next year, which is about 2 cents. And on the warning, on the budget itself, if you look on the last page, you'll see on the final page of the budget, if you look all the way down, keep in mind that the grand list is just an estimate, and we don't get a final grand list till like May. So Amanda gives me her best guesstimate, and based on what she gave us and this proposed budget, the additional cost to approximately a taxpayer for this increase would be about 65 cents. So for a $500,000 house. So that just gives you an estimate of what it would cost. And really there's about a 13.5% increase on expenses from last year to this year. But because we had the surplus, we're giving that back to the taxpayer. So we're reducing the rate from the 13.5 down to the 4.27%.
So another way of looking at that is that because we're giving back $425,000, we won't have that next year. So that 425 equals about 8%. So next year, next fiscal year, if we hold the budget flat with absolutely no increases going out the door, we're looking at an 8% increase. Because there's not that buffer to give back. So, and we know that there are going to be increases in the budget, but I think the board should know that going into next year, that it's going to be harder. And we're looking at 4.27 this year, but it's going to double without us doing anything unless we trim something.
But also keep in mind, we are spending a lot more money in paving. You know, as I said last time, normally our paving budget's in the $200,000 range. We're throwing $340 at it this year. We're going to the cloud with our server. That's a big expense. We're doing improvements to the town hall, the post office.
Yeah.
Those are things that should not be in the budget next year.
Correct.
So, but that being said.
I love your outlook. I'm sure a lot of taxpayers are going to love that outlook too, but everyone should know.
That. Yeah.
I'm just saying we can't afford to throw $340,000 at paving every year. This year it worked out great because we had the surplus, we're using it.
Correct.
That's all.
You may get the grant.
we may get the grant. If we do, that would be great.
Yeah.
And then we can take it as far as it goes.
Yeah. So I explained this in the budget overview that will be in the town report, because I think it's important for taxpayers to understand exactly what Bob just brought up and for us to all consider that. But because our overall total expenditures are up $461,000 over the prior year, which is that 13.4%. But I highlight the Pleasant Valley Road, $340,000. Adjustments to benefits and salaries was $186,000. The maintenance, deferred maintenance, painting and repairs to the post office and the exterior of town hall are 52,000. So there's some significant, I would say, anomalies that we added into this budget that we, wouldn't be able to do, or we would be looking at that 13.4% increase.
Like
So
one-offs, really.
they are, and there always is something. So, there's a truck, there's always something, but we will have to be cognizant of that next year.
In essence, we're kind of throwing that surplus, some of the things that we need
Mhm.
for one-time purchases, like the IT, like the town hall, like the post office,
And the paving.
and wrapping that up.
Yeah.
Does it cover the paving too?
Well, it covers the additional paving. 'Cause
Yeah.
We're doing $340,000 of work
Right.
versus Irish Settlement where we did the $200,000 range. That's typically our paving budget.
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked out very well this year for us.
I think,
Jennifer, oh,
go
sorry.
ahead, Maureen. No,
I
no,
just
go
had
ahead.
one small note on the page, the budget considerations page, the first one there, where it kind of has some of the summary. On the line 279 one, just a small typo, the increase was just spelled wrong on that line.
Oh, thank you.
Yep,
No one sees that but you, but thank you.
no problem.
So I think the budget represents a lot of fiscal responsibility. I'm proud of this budget. I think this is a budget that we all can get behind, I hope, and present to the taxpayers. I believe it's fiscally responsible to go in and asking for a 4.27% increase. And with that, I'm going to move that we accept the proposed budget as submitted without any additional changes. Is there a second?
I second that.
Is there any discussion? I guess this would be the time if there's any discussion, if there's any other final changes that need to be made to the budget, this would be your last chance to change that. If not, if you're ready, we can vote on this or we can discuss it some more.
The only thing I want to mention is the paving. In the future, we may be doing more extreme, I'll call it extreme paving, more in-depth paving, where the plan is on Pleasant Valley Road because of the amount of pavement, because we've shimmed and overlaid for so many years, that you get to a point that you've got to stop just shimming and overlaying and get rid of some pavement. So we might be running into that more and more as we move down the line on different roads, depending on the
What we're
road.
facing in Pleasant Valley.
Right, yeah. We had a great meeting the other night at the infrastructure meeting, and we had Tyler Whitcomb here as well, which was great. But yeah, you get to a point where you just gotta, like we're doing on
Bring
Pleasant
it down.
Valley. So that might be, I don't want to call it the norm moving forward. It's all going to depend on the road and how much pavement's on those roads. But we may be into more in-depth paving, construction paving, so to speak, I'll call it,
Yeah.
instead of Band-Aids.
Thank you, Russ. Any other discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of the proposed budget, version 7 of the fiscal year 2026 budget for the town of Underhill, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Jennifer.
you for all your work.
Thank you,
Jennifer.
All the
It was a
Thank
lot of
you.
work.
Thank you, everybody.
The only other thing that I wanted to say, and I want to make sure that it's on the record, is that each year I compile a budget guide, which will be online with all kinds of links. This year I even included links to Essex Rescue and Mills Riverside Park and the library, so people could see where those budget numbers come from and how they kind of end up coming into our budget. But I go line by line on the budget so that if residents are interested, they can pull that budget up online and they can look line by line and say, oh, well, what is the local agreement? Or, what is the paving about? Or what, so hopefully that's something that people find helpful. And so that will be online as well as the budget tomorrow. So.
Excellent.
I think
That's
that
a
all-
great service. Thank you.
I think it helps a lot that people are educated. We're still gonna have our preview or pregame show for folks. So, but this helps, a great deal to try to eliminate some of those questions.
Yeah.
Early on in the process.
And I will be putting a front porch forum post out tomorrow as well, just telling people where to get the link to the budget and the budget guide. So, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Great work.
All right, we're still on schedule. The next item on the agenda is to review and sign the official warning for the March 4th, 2025 annual town meeting, and review and sign the final resolution of necessity for bridge number 7 replacement.
So I've invited Dan Mance, since we're here for the warning, so if Dan wanted to come over to the table, kick your cat out.
Dan, watch your fin today. He got you, he got both of you today.
Yeah, well,
He's
have a good night.
in Anoki's defense, we've had painters here and all kinds of stuff going on, and
All right, I provoked him.
he's really bloodthirsty.
I'll give this copy. Wait, you have a copy?
I didn't get one.
Okay. I'm gonna, could you guys share?
Yeah.
And
I don't
so, a little different from in the beginning when Bob asked for changes to the agenda, I have done some minor changes to the warning.
Okay,
So I'll give you that. Oh, you got, is that one there?
great, okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to, you're okay, Bob? I
Keep
just
going.
wanted to go through that. So typical articles 1 through 5 are typical. We're going to elect a moderator, hopefully Dan Mance. And we're going to hear reports from officers. 3 is our general fund expenditures. This is all based on the budget you just approved. Article 4 is the highway fund expenditures, again, all based on the budget you approved. Article 5 to transact any other business thought proper when met. And then the next paragraph down is our is kind of a little sub warning for the Australian ballot. So the warning you had in your packet had the appropriation up in the actual floor business. And I look back on how we typically handle new appropriations or increases to appropriations. We've always done them by Australian ballot. So the only thing I've done to this warning, besides take off a little verbiage, was move that topic or that article down to Australian ballot. So all the voters have the chance to weigh in on that. And again, like Bob said, we're going to have a pregame show, which is, if you turn the page 2, we've set the public informational hearing to February 27th at 6 o'clock. So that would be the time we would be discussing articles on Australian ballot. So that would be appropriate time for the Food Hub to come in and give a little spiel if they wanted to, or we could do that for them. And then more importantly, to educate the voters regarding the bond question for Bridge 7. So that's the warning, and I've given you all copies of how it's just been changed. So I guess a motion would be in order to.
Well, we'll have a motion, we'll second it, we'll have discussion, and if we're good, then we're good, and we'll vote on it and move on. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the official warning of the town of Underhill annual town meeting for March 4th, 2025, as presented with the slight changes. So would someone like to make that motion?
So moved.
So moved by Dan, seconded by,
Patty Richards, second.
and we're off to the races now. Any discussion?
Anything that jumps out at you, Dan?
What? No, this all looks, it all looks fine to me. I will only parenthetically remind this group that you do in fact have the authority to move items into the Australian ballot, which is unusual for towns. That a few years ago, I attended town moderator refresher training, and the subject of town warnings came up. And I said, they made a big point of saying the only items that could go on Australian ballot were items that voters had approved to be on the Australian ballot the previous year. Okay, so it took a floor vote the prior year to put something on Australian ballot for the next year. But I said, I don't think that's how they do it in Underhill. I think select board just decides and they put it up. Oh my God, sky falling, lots of problems. League of City and Towns attorneys are like, no. I go, okay, we're gonna talk about this. So came back, it all got looked over. Lo and behold, in the Underhill Town Charter is a provision that enables the select board to put items they wish on the Australian ballot. And nobody had ever seen such a thing. And the comment from the League of City and Towns was, I wonder how that got through the legislature. So congratulations, everything you did there was just fine.
And there's a reason why there's always a rainbow that goes across Mount Mansfield and over the Pleasant Valley. It comes over here near the town hall,
So I thought, I wonder why every other town in Vermont.
Well, some of the larger towns actually do, some of the cities, and it's not
exclusive,
but it is very, very unusual. So in fact, we talked about this during COVID. Remember when we did 2 years of Australian ballot for everything, but that was a provision that the legislature made, but we just tagged along with that. But
we didn't really have to do that because we had the ability to do it on our own anyway.
All along, right? Right. So
Nice feature.
See how wise the folks back in the day were? Dan?
unbelievable, isn't it?
Way ahead of the curve.
Good
So
charter.
I think all of this looks great, and I'm ready to play. I've got both town meeting day all set and the 27th. I'll be fine for both of those, and this is good because you'll be able to discuss the Australian ballot question about like the food hub and the bond
at town meeting as well.
Do we discuss it at town meeting as well?
We have the legislature changed that.
So it's
We
open. Okay.
can discuss
So we got them both then. Got it.
items that are on Australia. No binding, but we can educate.
There can be discussion.
And I believe the legislature also changed, typically it was always 10 days. You had to have your informational hearing 10 days within the town meeting, but I think they expanded that to 30
I believe
days.
it's 32. I think you're correct.
But I think to stick more too early might not be a good thing, but I think the 27th is typically the way we've always done it, so.
Unless you're like Maureen or I and have children that, like to go someplace warm and tropical during school winter vacation.
Right.
It's not so nice, but Patty's hardcore, so we'll probably stick to it. Sorry, Maureen, I'm with you. We should go someplace warm and tropical with the kids, but Patty's kind of a stick.
I go north.
Yeah, she
She was north with the sled dogs.
Get colder.
I think actually, Dan, is it true that informational meeting could be held without the select board? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know that, but I'm not sure it couldn't.
Yeah. Anyway, we only need 3.
Right.
Sounds like you just volunteered as you smiled and looked at me and just like, all right.
You can zoom in from Hawaii.
Exactly.
I'd be happy to.
Aloha.
That's aloha from Hawaii.
If you just excuse me, I just want to check my email one more time. I apologize.
I would also, just for the good of the order, note that March 4th of this year, select board or town meeting day, is the day in 1791 that Vermont became the 14th state, 233 years to the day. So it'll be a nice connection with.
That's fun.
Yeah, that'll be a fun fact to be able to announce.
That is a fun fact. I like that.
Yeah,
History lesson.
yeah.
And you'll be the one saying that, right?
Yeah,
I
I'm
kind
sure.
of thought I'd refer to the road for this one.
Dan always has an appropriate anecdote or story to share.
We'll have
And
something to.
you are wonderful, and it's like you were born for this position. So
Happy to stand.
thank you. Thank you for continuing to moderate for us.
My pleasure.
We're really lucky to have you.
My pleasure. Absolutely, guys. You're very kind. So I think everything looks good to me.
Well,
Awesome.
we got Dan's blessing. we'll see if we get everyone else's blessing now. So there's a motion. Did we make a motion?
You did.
And it's been seconded. We've had some discussion. Are we ready for the question?
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor of approving the official warning for the Town of Underhill's annual town meeting for March 4th, 2025, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. The abstentions, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everyone. Dan, thank you as always. Good
Thank you
to
all.
see you.
Pleasure to see
Do you
you.
want to stick around for that? There's a little bit of a extra part here that we're doing this year with the bond.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Resolution.
So that's the, nope, keep going.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So, last week, we reviewed the resolution of necessity and capital construction project placement of Bridge 7. This, we've included in the town report right after the warning. So that's got a place. And this is basically the same exact document you reviewed last week.
So do we need to approve that as well?
Yep, we need to move to approve the resolution of necessity. I agreed it right off the top.
I move to approve the resolution for necessity as submitted. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of approving the resolution for necessity, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion, any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0.
But this will also be a topic of discussion. This is kind of the catalyst or the reasoning behind why we're asking the voters.
That will come up at Article 8 discussion. Is that
Yes,
the appropriate time?
that would be the appropriate time.
Wouldn't it be
Got it.
nice to have it be like Article 7 to match its Bridge 7, Article 7?
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Oh.
We go back and just make a sway, no? You don't want to do that now?
No, please.
No, please don't make us change anything.
Please no.
It's just jinxed it now, Brad.
I know. It's okay.
Gee whiz. There goes your parking spot. All right. Next item.
Vote for Article 7 on Bridge 7. Yeah.
That's right. Okay, next item is to review the ethics and conflicts of interest, Article 17, or Act 171, the designated
Thanks, Dan.
ethics liaison to the State Ethics Commission and assign a municipal officer or body to receive complaints alleging violations of the Municipal Code of Ethics. Brad has a bunch of information that he's sent everyone. I know I've been getting beautiful emails from the state regarding this topic.
Yeah.
So I kind of put together a memo. None of all this information is in one neat, tidy place. So I did little snippets in this memo with links and so forth. And then at the end, I just made some recommendations. So basically what we have to do is to appoint a liaison to the State Ethics Commission. And we have to do that within 30 days of January 1. So this representative will join a larger group, I envision, as the town's liaison to the State Ethics Commission. So we need to appoint that. And the second thing we need to do is to assign a municipal officer or body as the designated complaint recipient, and that's to receive complaints alleging violations of the Municipal Code of Conduct or Code of Ethics. We posted the Municipal Code of Ethics on our website as required by statute. And I spoke with our town's attorney about it, and really the state hasn't really even hooked their horses to this wagon yet. So there's a lot going on, but we're just trying to follow the statute. So those two things need to be done. And then we currently have in place, so they did do, I didn't include it in your packet, but they did do a model ordinance regarding municipal ethics. But I don't think that was more, and this is something from all League of Cities and Towns, kind of drafted a standard type document. I don't think that's something we need to consider because we have conflict of interest policy in place, we have personnel handbook. So unlike other towns that may not have any of that, I think that ordinance was geared more towards them. But I'm going to recommend that you authorize the staff to work with the town's attorney. Last time I worked with conflict of interest, and then Jennifer worked on the personnel handbook. So we could work together and see if there's any deficiencies that exist as it relates to this new law, and then make changes to those documents perhaps. But I'm going to recommend, so I'm more than happy to be appointed to this liaison to the Ethics Commission. I think that the second part, I would recommend that the select board be the designated body to receive, as it is now with a conflict of interest complaint. If we get a conflict of interest complaint, you're the designated body that reviews those. So those are the recommendations we're going to make, and then consider authorizing us to start working with the legal staff to figure all this out.
And this literally came out of kind of
Nowhere.
left field to all of us. Like,
Came to the legislature.
yeah, but I mean, it was a surprise to us as it came through.
Even though it became law in June,
Yeah, there's been little snippets come through.
but they didn't make a big deal out of it.
No,
What was the driving force for the legislature to do this?
I'm sure you have some.
Flurry?
I'm sure you have some people that, and I shouldn't stereotype, but maybe perhaps from more rural towns that where there's not a lot of checks and balances in place, and maybe it was just enough people that got fed up that, you know, convinced the legislature to look into this and maybe make a, you know, a statewide standard.
Yeah, because usually something like this comes out of an incident or series of incidents
Yeah. That's probably the
that
case.
wakes everybody up.
Right. You know, it's hard enough to get people to work in municipal government. It's really, these are dead end, kind of not dead end jobs, but they're not easy jobs. And let's hope that this doesn't make
Become
life
an
more
issue.
difficult.
Yeah.
But anyway, but regardless, you know, I think this town, I feel, well, especially since I've been here, or our crew's been here, has been pretty transparent in all we do. So
So I'm gonna, well, why don't we break it down into two different components, and then we can have discussion and vote on that, if that's okay. So I'm not hearing anything else, so, or any opposition to that. So looks like the first thing that we should do is that we should designate an ethics liaison to the State Ethics Commission and assign that to a municipal officer body, then assign an officer or a body to receive the complaints. So the liaison, I think, is what we need to do first. So why I will move that we designate the town administrator for the town of Underhill to be the liaison for the town of Underhill to act in the ethics and conflicts of interest per state statute, Act 171. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Brad, do you have a sense of what that will entail? What does it, is this an additional work amount? Is this like monthly meetings? Is there a sense of kind of how much of a burden this is going to place on you to take this position?
no idea, but I don't imagine, I think it's good for me to start and figure out what it's all about. And then we could always reappoint, but in the essence of time, because we only have 30 days
Right.
between now and I should be looking, I don't know, I should be looking at the owl, I guess.
Yeah,
So, you know, in essence of time, I think this is just the way to go right now, and then we'll figure it out.
Okay,
Sounds good.
that makes sense.
Any other discussion? So hearing none, so we're going to, the question before you is the select board going to approve having the town administrator for the town of Underhill act as the liaison for reviewing ethics and conflicts of interest per state statute Act 171. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Right?
Hi.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. So the next bite of the apple will be who is going to then receive the complaints alleging violations of municipal code of ethics. I'm going to move that it will be the town select board will be the body that will receive the complaints alleging violations of the municipal code of ethics. Is there a second?
Second that.
Any discussion on that?
So if somebody is filing a complaint, they would copy the entire select board, not just one of us, but the entire select board.
That would be my preference.
You might consider doing an email alias.
I don't think that's legal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Even if it's a group alias?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's, well, it's more important to, designate this body, and it seems to make sense
Mhm.
that since you're the designated body for conflicts of interest,
I
that.
think that that's already in place, isn't it? I mean, not under the new
Not under
law,
the new law.
but
Well, I
it's
also
already
think,
in place now.
I also think that the liaison, once this gets going and attends some of the meetings, that there may be more
Yeah.
discovery as far as, what we should and shouldn't do. But in order to get the ball up off the ground and start to move it, I think we need to
Just to comply.
attend some of these meetings, have our liaison, help us out as we start this process and kind of go from there. But
Yeah.
Exactly.
you ready for the question?
Mhm.
Yeah.
All those in favor of designating the Underhill Selectboard as the body to receive complaints alleging violations of the municipal code of ethics per Act Vermont statute relating to Act 171, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Brad.
I think also, these complaints, there's, they go to the state first, right? So there's going to be a vetting process a little bit, I think. It's not unlike the
Mhm.
Office of Professional Regulation. Somebody wants to make a complaint against me, an investigator is assigned to the, they'll vet the complaint versus the code of ethics that are stated on our website in law,
Mhm.
and then probably see if this would be brought forward. So I just to give you a little, set your mind at ease a little bit.
Good. Well, we're doing well. The next item on the agenda is the Chittenden County Communications Union District announcement.
Do we need to go, in Brad's recommendations for the ethics, also authorize town staff to work with the town's attorney to address deficiencies in our current policy?
Oh,
Need to take action on that.
okay. You want to move that we
I'll make a
authorize?
motion, yep, I'll make the motion that we authorize town staff to work with the town's attorney to address deficiencies, if any exist in our personnel and conflict of interest policies as it relates to the new law, Act 171.
It's been moved, and is there a second?
I can second.
Dan Kelsey seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Patty.
Welcome.
Eagle eyes. Anything else before we move on to the next item?
No, just let me grab my paperwork here for a minute. I think I
Take your time.
included.
We're way ahead of schedule, Brad.
I know.
We could probably have an intermission
Intermission.
break. Yeah,
Oh, good. I'm gonna go take an intermission.
okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no problem.
Can I take this?
You sure can.
So, as you know, we joined the Chittenden County Communication Union District.
I just want to, for the record, state I'm the chair of the Vermont Community Broadband Board. So I'm part of a 5-member board that allocates funds for broadband out through the state through an ARPA grant, a $251 million ARPA grant given to the state. So I sit in another role relative to allocating grant dollars. And I just want to state that so that that's clear. I don't think there's any conflict of interest here.
You said how much?
Speaking of ethics,
251 million.
251 million, and you just told me it was 250 that was coming to Underhill? That was very nice of you, Patty. There's no conflict of interest whatsoever.
Great.
Yeah, that's right. What can you tell us about that, Brad?
So,
And
So
I still
anyway.
have no internet.
Oh, yeah, no internet, but I'm still, it's
Share the
coming.
broadband for us.
I have zero internet, thank you, Consolidated, and I will say that on the record.
So, so we joined the Communication Union District. I think it's been 2 years now, I think. And I've been involved with that group. We meet twice a month and sometimes more. And one of the best group of people I've worked with. They're great. And so we finally, after lots and lots of deliberation and contemplating whether we should even exist as a communication union district, we signed a contract with Consolidated Communications for the $2.1 million of ARPA money, all the towns combined in Chittenden County, which is every town, I think, except for Burlington. There's a few towns that are out of the loop and they're the bigger towns, but there's South Burlington, Williston, Richmond, maybe not Richmond, Jericho, Westford, Essex, Shelburne,
West, yeah.
South
Yeah,
Burlington. Yeah. So, so this is going to be a 2-phase project. Phase 1, Underhill is not going to see really anything on the ground. However, there'll be a lot of infrastructure being placed at the Underhill hub, which is on Park Street. So they're going to be gearing up. So for the next phase, which Consolidated has agreed to stick on and apply for what's called the BEAD grant, which Patty could tell you probably in depth of what that's all about. But that's another, I can't remember the acronym either, but it's another set of federal funds that are handled differently from the ARPA grant. The benefit of the BEAD funds are, and correct me if I'm wrong, Patty, but I believe that they have to provide service directly to your home, not just at the curb. So
The difference with the BEAD program is, and this is another large chunk of money going to the state, is that every underserved address, and there's a definition of what's considered underserved, it's slow speed like I have, underserved, has to be picked up in the county for that CUD. And if it's not picked up, then the BEAD dollars don't flow to the CUD at all. So every single address that's not served has to have a plan of how it's going to be served. And that's really a big component of the BEAD, a big differential.
yeah,
Service to the house versus in front of the house. I just don't remember that detail.
pretty sure that was what we were, that's what we were told by Consolidated and other folks. That was the major difference. So anyway, I think Underhill will, it was kind of a tough decision, but we really have no choice. Go along for the ride. Hopefully phase 2 happens, and then all our underserved people that are on the map will be served. So I just included that little press or kind of statement that Ann Janda, our clerk, put together. Oh yeah, the members are right here. Essex Junction, Jericho, Shelburne, South Burlington, Underhill, Westford, and Williston are members of the CVs. And some of these towns, like South Burlington, I think they have like 13 people that are underserved. So Underhill and Jericho are the majority, I would say, in Westford. Jericho will get a few people served on this first round, but they're pretty much in the same boat we are for the waiting for the second round. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Yeah.
Thanks, Brad.
Sure.
Next time, try to get Underhill a little bit closer, high up on the list and way in the middle,
I think we'll
Don't worry.
benefit
I fought for that.
I think we'll
Take it on
benefit.
for the team.
Yeah.
I think we'll benefit by hanging on for the BEAD funding. I think it's going to be a better, we'll be treated a little bit better than those.
Just out of curiosity, do we know how many are considered?
There is a database of the actual locations, and it's, if you are passed by like for example, Mansfield Telecom, and there's fiber in front of your house, you're considered served even if you don't have it. So for example, my situation, I'm on Consolidated, which is copper wire, and I have awful service. It's less than 1 megabyte right now. It's half a megabyte. Whereas Mansfield Telecom runs fiber right on the pole on the roadside, and I'm in the process of trying to get it to the house, but it's not an easy feat because it's cold out and they can't splice the fiber in. So if you have fiber passing in front of your house, you're considered served, even if you
If you don't have it.
crappy service.
I think
And-
Bob's in the same situation.
And the problem with that is it's expensive and sometimes cost prohibitive for people to bring that service to their house.
Exactly.
It-
Benefit,
That could be thousands of dollars to bring it from that pole to your house.
So I think the benefit of the bead, if I'm mistaken, I'm not going to make any promises, but services to be brought to the home.
And the Vermont Community Broadband Board has a long drop program, so if it is cost prohibitive, the person can apply through this program to get service that way. For anything, any length over 400 feet is considered a long drop.
Wouldn't it be nice if they did something like that for natural gas?
Yes.
The clean heat standard will outlaw natural gas.
But just out of curiosity, in Underhill, are we talking about hundreds of people?
Well, I want to say the number, don't quote me on this, it was like 128 were the locations, and that data set's a little squishy.
Okay.
So this was identified about 3 years ago. So it's not like we have a huge volume, but we have some folks that are in a pickle.
Yeah.
And they're like Patty said, long drops. They may be out. You may have an enormous driveway and be out in the end of an extension of a line that has, communications on it, or they're up on Stevensville Road, way up in the boonies, with no service at all. But,
Interesting.
Mhm.
so that's it.
Okay.
Starling.
So the last item, or one of the last items on the, is closing public comment period. I don't see anyone in the virtual environment other than Maureen. Do you have anything you'd like to share at the closing of the public comment period?
Not at all.
All right.
I do not.
I don't think she can see me.
She can't see
It's
you.
Lisa.
Lisa.
Oh, hi,
said hello.
Lisa. I'm sorry I didn't get to see you in person.
You can stay, well, we've got a few little things left to do, but you can go now, or you can stay for the whole thing until we say adjourn. But we have a couple,
Oh, okay, I see.
we have a
Now
couple
you
more
have, like-
items on the agenda to finish up.
I'll stay. Thank you.
Yeah. The next item, if there's no closing public comment, the next item is to review and approve the warrants and consider vacation rollover requests. So this is the warrants.
No, yeah, probably is, Bob. Sorry. Fake you out.
Just one small warrant since we just met last week.
So the warrant before me is dated 1/21/25, was in the packet. I'm going to move that we approve the warrant for the 21st of January 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question?
Mhm.
All those in favor of approving the warrant dated 1/21/25, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. I don't have anything else in here. There's no meeting minutes from the last
No,
meeting?
we didn't get them in time for the packet. We do have them, but I just didn't have them for the packet.
We can
So
do it next time.
we'll do it next time. Then the vacation rollover, I didn't include in your packet.
Okay, so there is I don't have it here.
I can give you a copy if you want, Bob.
I think I can read it from my phone. So
2 requests.
there's 2 requests, but I need to get to it. This is where Patty does the interpretive dance and we all enjoy it.
She's multi-talented. I
She
mean,
is.
eagle eyes and
That's right, she's does it all.
Drive that sled.
Dan used to do it, but now it's Patty's turn.
You want to just give that whole thing to
You
Bob?
want this?
Bob,
Just take that, the
Okay.
paper, sorry.
old school.
All right, we'll do them in the order that I received. So we have a request from Sherry Moran is requesting that her 12 excess hours be carried over into the 2025 calendar year, and she intends to use them when she travels on vacation next week. So I'm going to move that we approve her request. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of approving Sherry's request to move the 12 hours in excess to 2025, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right?
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. The next item is for Russ Clark. He's requesting that his excess of 57 hours be paid out in salary to him. I'm going to move that we approve the 57 hours to be paid out to him. Is there a second?
I can second.
Any discussion?
I just want to emphasize the point that was put in Jennifer's memo to us, that vacation time is really important to keep your sanity and keep you from getting fried and burned out. So encourage you to take more of it if you can. Go on vacation.
One with Bob and Maureen.
Excellent.
They're going to Hawaii.
Going to Hawaii.
Maureen said that there was an extra seat in the next row in front, so we're all set for you, Russ.
That's right. Get some sun.
Yep. All right. All those in favor of approving Russ's request to pay out his 57 hours, please signify by saying aye.
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 Right.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. I think that was it, right? There was anybody else?
That's it.
All right. No minutes, no other warrants. Member items, correspondence, announcements, schedule. The next select board meeting is scheduled for the 13th of February.
I did want to just mention, I put the quarterly report for Essex Rescue in your packet too, that from the correspondence.
Okay. Thank you, Brad.
I will not be present for the 13th of February.
Everyone else, it looks fairly okay.
Yep. Is it possible that we do the dump body on the 13th instead of a special meeting? Given that's.
I don't know what the agenda is going to look like, and we're getting closer to, if there's, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to send out a doodle poll. I'm going to get with Brad and Russ. I'm going to send out a doodle poll, so keep your eyes open for a doodle poll, and then you can put in what your availability will be. And I'm hoping that we can find a date and time that works for most. I don't know if it's going to work for everyone, but we'll try the doodle poll and kind of come up with that, and we'll give you like a 3 or 4 days to respond. So look for a doodle poll tomorrow. And then if you can get to it by the end of this weekend, and then maybe Monday or Tuesday, we can make an announcement of when that would be and kind of go from there. If there's any like hard dates that people know right now that it doesn't work, and there's multiple people that say like, whatever, the 7th of February does not work, then we won't do that. 6 for you. Is there any other?
24th, any Tuesday I cannot do, any Wednesday I cannot do.
Oh, right. Actually, that whole,
The 10th I
it's not
cannot
just one
do.
day,
Yeah.
right?
Just thought I'd state the obvious.
It's the first full week of February, I'm not available.
And I can't do the next 2 Thursdays.
Maureen, anything how do Mondays look relatively okay?
Yes. Pretty good.
So
as long
I
as
think
Joan is not out of town and my babysitter doesn't ghost me
I
again.
don't want to do Friday. I
No,
don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair to our staff, because I think they like to go home. Contrary to Brad sleeping here, but I do think that most want to go home. So I'm going to be focusing on Mondays then, the
Third.
doodle poll.
3rd maybe.
Maybe the 3rd, but
That won't work for me.
it would or would not,
Would not.
because it's that first week.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send out the poll, take a look, and then we'll go from there.
When you send the poll, can you do my personal email, because I'm traveling this weekend?
Anything for you.
Thank you.
I can also give you all an update tomorrow after we load it and try it, and
That'd be great.
that might give us a better idea too, how things are gonna roll with it.
All right.
Yeah.
Right, it might become very clear.
Good idea.
Yeah. If you, on that, if you think it would be beneficial, take a little video And then we could, maybe seeing it would be, I know you did a great job presenting it, but maybe a little video might help, they can see, more of what we're talking about. I don't know if you feel comfortable doing that or
I
not,
can
but
definitely make a video if we're gonna do that.
see, show the different components or whatever. And I don't know, just trying to get everybody up to par.
If I can help at all, happy to come help take some pictures or videos.
I can,
We're gonna be busy tomorrow getting the town report out.
yeah,
So
I can do some videos. I don't want to prolong it if we just have a decision to make of what avenue
Sure.
we're gonna go to, so. I know good things take time. I realize that. I think we might be in a little area that we need to act if we're gonna do something moving forward with upgrading or whatever we're gonna do, but bigger discussion, I understand. And I will do what I can to find out. I truly don't believe from my history of having used bodies available, like if there's a used body around, it's usually because somebody had the same issue and they,
Unloading.
put on a new one and
I
bodies.
I was just thinking
No,
of maybe a truck that got totaled or something, all smashed in the front.
Right, there's
Plenty of those.
sometimes there's not. But yeah,
All right, the only other thing that I was thinking that, should say is that, you have an invitation, for an event on the 15th of February. The deadline is today. I'd like you to consider that. If you are going to go, please let me know. And someone, I'd be happy to do it. But if anyone else, if we want to do it as a group and present the gift to, the recipient, I'm talking in code because most of you should know who I'm talking about. That would be great. But if everyone is busy on the 15th because it's the 15th, I totally understand. But I just want to remind the board that I have not heard from anyone. And if you are interested, this is your gentle reminder to please let me know.
I'm planning to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think
I wasn't invited. My feelings were hurt, but I'll get over it.
you'll get over it quickly.
You can come. Give her that.
I just need a number. But if you want to go, I'd be happy. I'd be honored if you
When do you need the number?
can let me
I
know.
thought it said
tomorrow.
the 27th.
27th, and that's today, right?
No.
No.
No,
You
that's
got a
Monday.
whole week, everybody. So slow down, type of thing,
Before you adjourn, I
I
have
was
one.
so confused. I thought the same thing of the 27th versus the 23rd.
Right.
No.
The
Okay.
maple sugar and terrible supper I had tonight. Apologize. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to just quickly follow up, without naming any names, about an incident that I had reported to all of you and the community at large about something that occurred on Range Road last month, where a decapitated rabbit was bleeding and appeared to have been hung on someone's mailbox. And I had brought it to the state police attention and made a big deal out of it because I was concerned that someone was being targeted and that there was a hate crime and that there was reason for us to be cautious in our neighborhoods. And there's a funny anecdote to that. A resident of Underhill was walking their dog up Range Road, and a rabbit had been hit by a car. The dog picked up the rabbit and was, shaking it and playing with it. And the owner of the dog picked the bleeding, decapitated rabbit up, put it up high enough so that the dog and another dog wouldn't get to it, and figured they would come back the next day or later in the day, grab it in a garbage bag and dispose of it. Didn't do anything about it because when they went and drove past it, it was gone. So they heard my announcement and heard from caution from a neighbor and said, hey, by the way, be on the lookout. There's hate crimes. And turns out it was
Roadkill.
it was roadkill and it was a neighbor's dog. So much to everyone's relief and a little humor in that.
I thought somebody was saving it for
Soup.
Or just
Soup.
for the-
Bitter rabbit
Somebody
soup.
wanted
Have
it.
some pepper.
Somebody wanted it.
So that's what happened to the rabbit.
I'm gonna throw an idea out. Before we adjourn, I'd like to see if there'd be any interest in this body challenging the town of Jericho Select Board to a broom hockey tournament. We can donate our own personal funds, and the winner would be able to take that money and give it to the food hub to help them out. So if there's interest in a group of you that would like to, and we can open it up to staff as well, to challenge the town of Jericho to a broom hockey. We have
Out here.
we have a rink here, and they have a rink in Jericho, but I think that if we challenge them to a winner take all type of approach, and that we would donate our funds to the Jericho Food Hub, I think that it might be received well, but we'll see if they have the,
Does that mean we have to move quickly?
well, some of us might have to move quickly.
You could be goalie, Dan.
There you go. Bad job.
We'd have
That's a
to,
great idea.
we might have to stock up on some Bengay and some padding and stuff like that, but if there's interest, I'll include that in the doodle poll. If you're interested, and we can keep talking about it, and then we could signal to Jericho what we would like to do. Well, Maureen, I think you got a fan ready to go. All right.
I have one thing just to follow up on. We voted, you folks voted last meeting to dedicate the new truck to Crick Fuller. I came up with some wording, talked to the lettering company. They're not gonna charge us for this part of it.
Nice.
They wanted to be part of that and donate it, which is Kirshner Signs out of South Burlington. The wording I came up with, just to make sure you guys are okay with it, would state, truck number 25 dedicated to Christian Crick Fuller, longtime employee and friend. And that would be on the side of the dump body. And is going to be a deer jumping over a log on top of it. And that, which is Ken's new truck, and he kind of wanted a deer on the side of his truck. So that all kind of came in together. So that'll be about a 20 by 21
Nice.
deer jumping over a log with that underneath it, if you folks are okay with that.
That sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
That sounds really nice.
What is it?
So when we get to that, when we get closer to receiving that truck, I think we should reach out to the family,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
and we can try to make that a special moment.
Maybe put it in the Mountain Gazette.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take a photo and put it in the Mountain Gazette.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excited about it,
Thank you for going the distance on that, Russ. Appreciate it. With that, Dan said he wanted to say it was time to adjourn. So Dan, this is where you get to say it.
It's time to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
I
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Maureen.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.